Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Sodacast, and we are finally here at episode 20. We have finally officially done 20 of these. And I am so thankful because at least at the time of this going out, it is Christmas time. We are officially in the season of being jolly. And that's why, if you had read the title of this episode, we are going to go ahead and just be reminiscing on this whole entire year of 2023. There is no special guest, no other person popping in. It's just you. Why did I point? For the audio listeners, I just pointed at myself as I said you. So you, now I'm pointing at you and myself. But, of course, obviously, for those of you that have been sticking around from episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or 19, you already know how this goes. We can't do an episode without going ahead and playing the game. So for you out there, I want you to guess my soda. I'm going to give you a second. Before I go ahead and say what it is. I'll give you a hint. It is a local brand to Florida. That is the only guess I could give you. Go ahead. I'm listening. Interesting. That's a very interesting take, but the correct answer was Standard Cola from Publix. We're going extra cheap for this episode because I got all my Christmas gifts, and let me tell you, they are expensive. They really are. I don't know if I'll say them, but I'll definitely post them when it comes Christmas time. So maybe when you're listening to this, maybe you already found out that the Christmas gift is this for this person. I'll go ahead and reveal it soon enough. But if you, honest to God, picked my soda of choice, I honest to God, I will send you $13. I want you to record yourself guessing my soda. But now it is time for me to guess your soda. Yes, you listening to the podcast. I'm going to guess your soda right now. And I believe, I don't even need a guess. The soda that I believe that you have easily, of course, for the season, it's a Sprite Cranberry. I already know what the fuck it is. I already know it's a Sprite Cranberry, bro. Just be honest. It's a Sprite Cranberry. If I guess your soda, I want you to go ahead and PayPal me money. I will link my PayPal down below in the show notes or in the description of this video. If you're watching the video version, I will go ahead and link my PayPal. I want $13 right now. You already know how this works. But last thing for the audio listeners, maybe, obviously last year around Christmas time was the first episode that I did, and I wore a Christmas sweater. So of course, if you can, if you're an audio listener, go ahead and check out the video version really quick, just for a minute. See what sweater I'm wearing. If you don't really care to listen, go care to check it out. I'm wearing an oversized Mickey Mouse Christmas sweater. So, yeah, we're in the season. I got my Christmas tree in the background. I got like a little thing in the back. It looks like bells, and it has like pine cones and stuff and some berries on it. Nothing too crazy, you know. But yeah. So to really get into it, guys, we have been doing this podcast for a year. And I say we because I know it sounds so generic. You hear it from every person that does a podcast or YouTube channel or whatever. But I mean, honest to God, I wouldn't be doing these unless I had you guys here to listen and if I had guests to come on and talk with me. So thank you all for genuinely coming around and listening to the podcast, whether it's a video version, audio version, wherever, however you listen. I greatly do appreciate it, honestly. And I don't expect this episode to be very long or to be very detailed or to have really weird topics. It's just to kind of reminisce on what has happened over the last year. And boy, has a lot fucking happened. So, obviously, to start, on December 22nd of last year, we had dropped the first podcast episode. And I am so happy about that. It, to this day, is now officially my second best episode, because the number one episode with the most amount of views has to apparently go to Dewey, which Dewey's cool. He's alright. If you guys haven't watched that episode, go watch it. Episode 5 of the podcast and episode 9. But episode 1 will hold a very near and dear spot in my heart, because obviously it is absolutely raw and an original experience between all of us. I'm going to turn my camera just a little bit for you video viewers so you can get a better view of me. But I had no clue what this fucking podcast was going to be about. The only thing that we had established was I was going to try to bring on a guest every single time, and that every episode I would have a soda, which we stuck to that. Every episode I have brought a soda. Brownie points if you put in the comments every single soda in order, in chronological order, every single soda I've brought onto the podcast so far. I feel like I've definitely brought on a few duplicates. But obviously, we enjoyed Christmas last year. We all just kind of vibed. And then from there, the new year came. Now, obviously, when I started this podcast, there was a lot of change going on in my life. I had recently moved back down from Tampa, and I know I had promised to work on this 12/22/22 project, which obviously you guys saw, like the little trailer that's on my actual Sodacast channel. I'll put it once again in the description or in the show notes down below. But I haven't finished it. And I know technically it was supposed to come out then, but unfortunately I just wasn't able to put it out in time. And now, to be honest, it is still something that I am genuinely working on. I don't know if it will ever come out, but it is something I genuinely am working on, and hope to God one day I will be able to put it out. But obviously, outside of that, we had started the Mike Art production channel. And that really quickly fell off. Not because we didn't put out videos. We did one video. We did an AirPods video, and that once again also came out on 12/22/22. And I'm going to point fingers, and hopefully all of you will as well. A previous guest that has been on the podcast, Ryan, decided he wanted to be my editor and then not go ahead and edit. So everyone, shame Ryan. Go ahead. I go back to that video and go ahead and put in the comments how bad of a human being Ryan is. We're kidding. Ryan, we love you. But to move on, New Year's kind of came around. It was a lot of me kind of getting readjusted to being back here. I started a new job, or continued a new job, back down here at State Farm in Florida. In Florida. So, in South Florida. So then we went ahead and went from there. I tried my ass off, worked my ass off, made a lot of money there. New Year's comes around. I go ahead. I'm still getting acclimated. I'm meeting a lot of new people, making a lot of new friends, getting a lot of new connections, and finally got the chance to bring on a guest, which was, of course, last episode's guest, Naf Gaines. And God, honestly, an amazing and perfect first guest. I could not have asked for a better first guest. Obviously, I know if you have watched some of the other episodes, Darshita, who you could say was an ex of mine had came onto the podcast, or who I want to have come onto the podcast for episode 2, and that did not work out. And thank God, because that would have been a lot to talk about for a second episode. But I'm going to now take a sip of my soda. Hopefully you guys already understand at this point. It's just a lot of me rambling. We're already 12 minutes into this podcast, and it's just a lot of fucking rambling. I feel like I said a whole lot of nothing, and maybe you might disagree with that. But obviously, then we continued, and, I continued my year. And funny enough, guys, I am someone that, if you couldn't tell, struggles with my weight. I have always been a very skinny man. Always have struggled to put on weight, not because I don't eat enough, but, well, technically, yes, but it is more so a mental thing for me. I am someone that gets very stressed very easily and can't tend to hold down my food. Maybe it's an eating disorder, maybe not. I'm not exactly too sure. I should probably go see a doctor about that, but I don't eat enough as I should. But at the time, I finally was, because I had people in my life that were really there as a motivator for me and were really giving me that confidence. Like, even now, if you see this, if you're watching the video version, for the audio listeners, I am wearing, like I said, the Christmas sweater, and it is a lot bigger on me than it used to be. It used to be a lot tighter. Like, I feel like a turtle in its turtle shell. Like, you see how there's a lot of extra space in a turtle shell? Maybe I'm just remembering them wrong, but they look like they have a lot of space. Yeah, that's how I feel inside this sweater. It's also really fucking hot. But aside from that point, I was putting on weight. Obviously, if you listen to the lot earlier episodes, I kept on talking about I was putting on a lot more weight, putting on weights, and I managed to go ahead and get all the way up to 149 pounds. For reference, right now I'm about 131, 132, which 149 might not sound that impressive, but for someone like myself who has only topped out at a total of 154 pounds, pretty damn good. I was on a legit solid pace to actually go ahead and even pass 154, because I was doing that in just a few months. But, of course, a few things happened that we'll get to shortly. Obviously, we continue the podcast. Things continue to go well. I keep on bringing on new guests, people that I'm so happy to introduce you guys to, which, once again, I know, shameless plug. So horrible of me to do it on my own podcast. Wow. But I brought on some really amazing people, really people that I really thought were perfect fits for the podcast. I still believe that, and I would love to have them come back on, which, once again, some of them actually have, Rafiq being one of them. Hopefully Rosie, hopefully Miggy, and all those other people will eventually come back on. But at first, I started out doing just one episode a month, and clearly that was not enough. So far, we eventually bumped it up to 2 episodes a month. But, of course, right before I started to do that, I had to take a month off from recording podcasts. Why? Because my computer shat out on me. My computer of like 7 years finally ran its course and died. Pretty sure from too much dust, but finally died. And I had to wait about like a month for a new computer to arrive, which was fucking fun. This new computer that I have, it's like $4,000. So hopefully it will last me another good while, hopefully a decade, hopefully more. But finally, we came back with the podcast bigger and better than ever, because we changed the way that the podcast looked. Originally, it was me and the guests side by side. There was no border, nothing like that. A lot of you audio listeners are missing out. Make sure you go check out the video version of the podcast as well. And if you are watching the video version, drop a like, drop a comment right now, please. I actually would appreciate that. It would help out with the fucking algorithm. I hate saying this shit because I wish I could just also talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. But you guys also know, rambler. But what I'm trying to say is that I had to go ahead and wait, but then we brought back the podcast bigger and better than ever. And for those of you that don't know, that was also the perfect time for me to go ahead and stop streaming. I know I kind of disappeared for a year. I stopped streaming. I stopped making content. I stopped doing all this just to come back last December, start streaming again for a little bit, and then to stop in like fucking, I think it was April, like what, 4 months, 5 months? And yes, reason being is because I am someone that will only do it if I genuinely feel like there is potential and there is quality there. And watching my newer streams, obviously they're not new now because I don't stream anymore, but watching my new streams compared to my old streams, it just really shined a light on the sense of, I love streaming. I really do. But every single time I started streaming, I got so much anxiety built up just from hitting go live, because I was so concerned about how many people are going to be tuning into my stream. How many people are going to be there? Is it going to be 5? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 20? Is it going to be 30? I was used to anywhere between 20 and 30 people before when I used to stream. It was heartbreaking. It was so gut-wrenching to see me go from that to realistically 5 to 10 people tops. Most streams I did when I came back, I didn't even hit more than 10. And I know there are probably people that might be listening to this podcast that might say, I don't even get 3. And I understand. Listen, if you have never hit 3, keep on working on that. You're going to eventually get there. But for me, I didn't feel like it was right. I didn't have my heart in it. So I said, okay, cool. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to focus all my time and effort on something that I do care about. Which, if you go back and watch each single one of the episodes of the podcast, even just if you don't want to watch the full thing, of course, I want you to. But even if you don't watch the full thing, go through episode 1, go through episode 2, go through episode 3, and you'll constantly see the progression of each episode where they do genuinely get better. Whether it's the video settings, whether it's the audio quality, there we go, the video quality, the audio quality, or even just the conversations, it always improves. Go look at some of my older thumbnails to some of the newer ones now, to this one. If, once again, you're a video viewer, if you're an audio version, I keep wanting to say audio version. You're an audio version of yourself. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But it's just, I decided to put all my effort into that because I believe in this podcast and I love my podcast. I love listening back to my own podcast. Every single time an episode comes out is actually really, to be honest with you guys, the first time I also listen to the episode. Not to say that I have someone editing them. I actually do all the editing. I do everything, to be quite honest with you at this point. And I'll explain everything because I know I said that it wasn't just me before. I mentioned that on a few other episodes, but now it's truly just me. I do all the editing. I find all the guests. I do all the thumbnails. I come up with all the titles. I do everything now. And let me tell you, when I edit these, I just try to get them out as quick as possible because I'm busy with work. So I try to get these out as quick as possible so then I could just work on the next one. Because let me tell you guys, it can be hard, especially with being a small podcaster. It can be fucking difficult to get a new guest every 2 weeks. But I do it. I manage because ever since we started doing the podcast again from episode 7 and onward, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I don't know if you could hear that. But because I actually did my goal of, for the remainder of the year, I'm going to do an episode every other week, which I did. Sodacast Sundays. If you're listening to this on a Sunday, how'd it feel coming from church? Let me know. Did you pray to God begging for forgiveness and he said, nah, you're going to go listen to that Sodacast fella? Please let me know. But fuck, man. It's just, there's always a lot to talk about, but it seems like there's always nothing to talk about. But obviously, that's why I decided to, all right, cool. I'm just done streaming at this point. I'm done streaming. My heart's not in it. If I have the time where I'm not working a full-time job where I can stream and actually do fun, creative ideas and constantly try to outdo the last stream, then of course I'll get back into streaming because I love doing it. I love doing any form of content. For you beautiful audio listeners, I just took another sip. Honestly, though, I love the progression of the podcast. I love how far we've come. I thank each and every single one of you for coming around. Like I said, whether your first episode was 1 or your first episode was episode 19 or anywhere in between, I honest to God, thank you. Because if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing the podcast. And hopefully you guys do enjoy them. I would love to see you guys actually be more active. Once again, for the YouTube version, if you guys can go ahead, drop comments. Let me know what topics you guys would like me to talk about. Genuinely. I would love to talk about them. There are so many conversations that I want to have going forward that I've researched, but I also want to know what you guys want me to talk about. Let me know. Genuinely. But of course, let's get to some more negative stuff. Because obviously, I got into 3 car accidents within 3 months. That is the running joke. Or the running joke is, well, I have the worst luck known to man, which same thing as getting into 3 car accidents in 3 months. I was rear-ended 3 times. Not my fault. Not my fault. One time was in a school zone. Okay, I was going 15 miles an hour, and they said, nah, buddy, we're going 30. Yeah, that didn't go well for him. It didn't. Yeah, I got rear-ended 3 times within 3 months. The first lady claimed I didn't hit her. My car said otherwise. The second guy claimed his sandal got caught underneath his car. My car claimed otherwise. Well, I mean, his foot also claimed otherwise because his sandal was on his foot when he got out of his car, because he got out of his car pretty quickly. And then the third accident, the guy claimed that I wasn't moving when the light literally just turned green. Fair point. Fair point to that guy. I got nothing to say to that. My car was not moving when the light literally just turned green because I was stopped at the red light. Yeah. But yeah, so turns out from all that, I don't recommend you guys get into 3 accidents within 3 months because, you'll get some issues. Like for example, me, I got 2 herniated discs, a tear in one of my muscles, like in my lower back. And I think there was one other thing, but like, it was just months upon months of physical therapy where they put electropads on me. Oh yeah. And then it was my knee too. That's what it was. Yeah. So I had to stop going to the gym because I wasn't able to physically work out because my doctor was like, yeah, my physical therapist was like, yeah, you do that? Yeah, buddy, you're not gonna be doing too hot in like 3 years. You're gonna be in a wheelchair, buddy. So I was like, all right, guy. I'm not that guy, pal. And I focused a lot on physical therapy, and let me tell you guys, I did enjoy physical therapy. It is fun. They stretch you out. They crack you. It's like going to a chiropractor. They just crack all your bones. It feels really nice. Except the place that I went to, God bless those people. God bless those people. But they were also like, I'm a very socially awkward guy. And I don't like it when people try to make conversation with me when I'm not trying to make conversation. So it's very awkward for me to just kind of sit there and they're like, oh, Mike, Sodacast. Yes, they called me Sodacast at the chiropractor. Sodacast. How is life? How is life at State Farm? And I just sat there and said, I'm in pain. But good, I'm making money. Yeah, man. So I ended up losing a lot of weight. And the really unfortunate part was I tried to stay quiet because the whole entire reason why I kept talking about me gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight is because I am someone that believes in actions over words. And a lot of people in my personal life, especially if they're listening to this, they will claim that that is something that I always say. And that is very true. I hate when people go ahead and just talk shit and do not back it up. And I have seen, while listening to my own podcast, that I am like that. I don't like that. I don't like that about myself when it comes to something like boxing. I have talked so much shit about me boxing, and I am tired of it. So, the big reveal. I was going to try to fight back in August. No, not on a Misfits card. I'm not. Unfortunately, they don't want me to take out the whole entire Misfits roster. For those of you that don't know, Misfits is like a promotion on DAZN, which is a boxing company, or not really a boxing, but they're basically a boxing company. They do other stuff like pool and darts, and they're basically a boxing company. But a boxing promoter, whatever, promotion. But I was just going to kind of do amateurs with one of my old coaches, and I was going to show the fight. I wanted to fight back in August. And I was so prepared to, until I got into those 3 car accidents, until I got the 2 herniated discs, the knee issue, the tear in my lower back. And I'm not trying to say that as an excuse, because at the end, we're going to talk about what's going to happen going forward. But pretty much, I was going to box back in August, and I was going to go ahead and show you all. I was going to record it, because the thing is, even people in my personal life, they didn't believe that I boxed, so I was, all right, cool. It's time for me just to shut everyone up and show that, hey, I can box. And whether I would have got my ass beat or got knocked out, I would have shown you, no, I could box. Like, legitimately, I could box. I could actually throw fucking hands, and I could do some damage. You guys may eventually see. We'll get to that at the end of the podcast. You guys may hear about some of that. And for the video viewers, I don't know why the fuck that happens. Why my camera freezes up. If you know why, if you know the reason why, please let me know. I'd greatly appreciate that. But yes, to get to the point of this, obviously we continue to focus on the podcast, even with a lot of the headaches going on in my life, which we're going to get into real depressing shit in a minute. Some real depressing shit, bruh. But obviously, we continued the podcast, putting out an episode every other week. And I am so happy about that, man. I am so fucking ecstatic because we did it. We did it. We're at the end of the year, and we fucking did it. We did an episode every other week. I guess you could say this is like season 1 of the Sodacast. I don't care, man. This was fucking awesome to do this every other week, to put out 20 fucking episodes. To put out 20, bro, go check out any other small podcast. Go, like, when I say small, I mean, like, bro, if you're a video viewer, or if you're an audio listener right now, I don't care. Go check out the YouTube channel. You don't even have to click on the videos. Just go check out the channel. Go see how many subs I have. I don't want to say how many subs I have right now, because that could always change. But go check it out right now. Fuck it, I'll say. I have 70 right now, bro. We have 70. We've been doing this for a year. We have 70. And the thing is, I have had so many different guests. I'm sorry to talk shit. If you guys also do a podcast, or if you're another small podcaster doing this, if you have a better channel than me, like you've brought on more guests, please, by all means, talk your shit. But I am so happy that I've had fucking 20 episodes, and majority of them have legitimately been different guests. And we've talked about different shit. We haven't talked about the same thing. What I hate about other small podcasters, I swear to God, it bugs the shit out of me. And I know I mentioned it before, but it is so annoying where I want to get into another small podcast. I want to listen to them. I want to support. I want to genuinely support another small podcast, but all they do is have a co-host, and then they talk about a very specific topic. And they only do like 5 episodes, and then their podcast is over. They just don't continue because they don't see any progress. But it's like they don't try. They didn't try to get anyone new on. I'm not saying my podcast is going to be successful, or I'm not even saying a year from now it will be around. I hope to God. But what I'm saying is, it's just like no one else is putting in the effort. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I am missing. Please link a podcast to me. Show me another small podcaster that is on the path that I'm on, in the sense of like the guests that they have brought on. Every single one of my guests, I'd say, for the most part, completely different. Completely different people. I brought on, we're going to bring up race and gender here. I brought on blacks. I brought on Hispanics. I brought on whites. I brought on male, female. I brought on a bunch of different people. Because why? Because the Sodacast, we're diverse. We're diverse as fuck. Just remember that. We're diverse as fuck, buddy. Okay? But with that being said, obviously I'm someone that advocates mental health. And I want to be honest with you guys, with all of you. This has not been the best year for me. Obviously, I know I got into it a little bit with, obviously, the car accidents and the not having the boxing match and all this and the third, but there has been some good and there has been some bad. Quick little other side note, I got my pickup truck. That was pretty fucking cool. All right, I was going to say swag, but no one says swag anymore, and I'm a 24-year-old man. Swag is not the word to use. It is pretty fucking cool. I got my pickup truck after 11 and a half months. Let's fucking go. And I got a fucking dog now who's not even here because he's in training. So he's in his cage right now. Okay. So I definitely have not been doing too well mentally. Because since I came home, obviously that took a major toll on me physically, mentally, and emotionally. I'm not going to get into details. I quite literally can't. Go back and listen to some of and listen to episode 1 and episode 2 of the podcast. It'll all make sense from there. But yes, I have been back home ever since, and I just have been feeling drained from everything. Obviously, to start, it has felt like a real kick in the balls because, the streams didn't do hot in the sense of I was used to 20 or 30 people per stream. And to go to 5 to 10 people, that was hard. And I wasn't going to do that. And I didn't like the way that my streams were turning out, regardless of viewers. I just didn't like how they were turning out. I didn't like the way that my ideas were. And I still have a whole bunch. And I'll be glad to share them with any other streamer checking this out. By all means, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my ideas. I don't want to say I'm all here on the podcast. Why? Because I don't think that's fun for everyone to listen to. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Comment down below. I know I keep on saying that, but genuinely, I do like to hear feedback, and I do actually respond back to my comments. And if you want to claim that I don't, well, guess what? I'm going to respond back to your comment in particular. But so I stopped streaming. And another reason for that was I just very quickly just wasn't feeling too well at work. Now, obviously, I mentioned a little bit about how I made a funny joke about saying how everyone found out at work that I do podcasts. And yeah, haha, very funny, yeah. But it was just a very toxic work environment. Now, if you are from my State Farm where I worked at, I'm not calling you or anyone out in particular. I'm not going to bash you. Or I'm not going to bash them because I'm going to talk to the general audience here. Yeah. 20 episodes in, I feel like I still don't know how to talk in front of a camera. But it was just affecting my mental health. I was just feeling like there was just so much shit talk in the office, and there was just the office was so divided, and there was just so much back and forth and confusion between everyone and everything. And I just said, I genuinely am not going to do this anymore. I grew up and I said, this is a place of work. And even I was being childish. Even I was being silly from time to time. And I said, as I've always stated, I just put my head down and I work. Not put my head down on the desk, but like I point my head down. I don't look at anyone else, and I just like to work. And that's what I should have just stayed doing. I got distracted. I got comfortable. And I shouldn't have gotten comfortable to that extent. So that was on me. And I decided to quit. Finally, when my truck arrived, I just put myself in major debt. But thankfully, another job had picked me up, the one that I'm currently working at, which I love. It is an amazing job, and hopefully, big things will come from that. And if you are from my new job and you find out about my podcast, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, leave a 5-star review. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe, leave a like, drop a comment. Not just on this episode, but on every single episode. Why? Because if you do, you could, hear me out, you could, in theory, win $13,000. I'm not saying you will, but you could. Now, obviously, I think I've stated on a previous episode, and this is definitely tough for me to talk about. I think it's even more tough to talk about, especially when I don't have a guest, because I'm someone that doesn't like to focus too much on myself or really on my emotions. And I know that might sound contradictory to what I've stated maybe previously in the past, or how I've, specific conversations I've had. But I genuinely do like to deflect a lot of my own insecurities. And I feel like a lot of us do, of course, but me so especially. I don't want to go ahead and really put the whole lot of like, hey, I'm not feeling too well. I do, but I don't. And it's very uncomfortable for me to talk about, but I do it because I genuinely think mental health is very, very important. Because I've been very low, and I felt like having someone that I could connect to, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, virtually, whatever, I feel like that was always a big help. Obviously, a big inspiration for me was Etika, Etika. If you want, you can search them up on YouTube. There's a shit ton that you can find out about Etika. But a very important thing for me in my life is romance. Now, obviously, coming back from Tampa, there was really no romance for me. I kind of came back because of a bad romance. Once again, not getting into details, go watch episode 1 or episode 2 of the podcast, and you can go find out for yourself. So I came back, and I just kind of did my own thing. And I felt very empty. And I felt numb to an extent. Kind of like the last time that I ever felt like that was back in 2019 when I went to a hospital. I legitimately went to a hospital because of how ill I was feeling. Like I was there for multiple days because I legitimately was not mentally feeling well. I was feeling very sick. And I actually lost a lot of weight in the hospital as well. But that's the story for another day. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. I just got a job and I just came back home and I didn't know where my life was going to go. Bars. So I just kind of took it one day at a time until, sorry to put this person out there, but until I found someone that I realized was following me on Sodacast, this channel. Not this channel, but on my Instagram, on my Sodacat Instagram. And actually, they would claim that they didn't come to my streams. I remember everyone that comes to my streams. You all know that. I know if you've been to my stream. I remember you. You listening. You watching this. I remember you. I do. I actually do. I remember everyone. But this one person has been following me on my Sodacat for like a year, 2 years. Well, not a year, 2 years. 2 years to say the least. And they finally messaged me. And they messaged me on my alternate account, Mike Art Production, where I was going to actually post a lot of tech stuff. If you guys want, in the description down below. I might put it, Mike Art Production, the Instagram. Go follow it. I put like some really artsy shit there. It's been a year, but I might make some more posts again. It'd be really, really fucking cool. But I met that person. And what was weird about this was, outside of high school, this was the first time that I met somebody not on like a dating app. This is so weird for me to talk about. This is really fucking weird, man. But I finally met someone not on a dating app, and I genuinely had no intentions of trying to date this person. But then, I guess you could say it was something like out of a fairy tale. Met this person in real life. We after about like 3 weeks of talking, 2 weeks of talking over text messages, and I think even at one point over phone. Yeah, after a few phone calls. And when I saw this person, it kind of just, it felt comforting, because it felt like I was someone that knew that I was about to go down a bad path. Not in the sense of, I'm gonna be edgy. I'm gonna beat people up. I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you and not feel bad. Not like that. How do I put this? I just felt like mentally I just wasn't gonna be there. I was just gonna be drifting through life. And I kind of am. I kind of feel like that right now. But when I met this person and we hung out for the first time, it felt perfect. It felt like I genuinely had a connection with this person, like a deep connection. And hopefully I'll be able to bring them on the podcast. Like, that would genuinely be interesting to talk about. I'm sorry. I know all I talk about is the podcast on the podcast. Yes. That makes sense. But this podcast is all over the place. This episode really is all over the place. I think this episode is definitely better than last episode that I did by myself, episode 10. But, I'll let you guys be the judge. But, yeah. After about a month and a half, 2 months, almost, maybe 2 months, I felt like, all right, cool. I'm going to ask this person out. And yeah. We, it didn't go too well. We tried to make it work. We didn't end up making it work. It didn't go very long. And, just ever since then, I've just kind of gone the remainder of this year feeling like things haven't gone in my favor. I obviously have had my 3 car accidents. The boxing match never happened. I got another bump on my eye, of course. Just a lot of unfortunate things, probably a lot more that I'm just not able to remember. Oh yeah, obviously, the streams and, just also a lot of people disappearing from my life. I had someone that was originally doing the Soda Clips channel. They were doing the Soda Clips channel, and they just stopped. And of course, I don't think I've ever mentioned it. There is such thing as the Soda Cat curse, which is the moment you work with me or work for me on anything, which I pay everyone now. I do. I pay my editors. I pay anyone that does any kind of clips for me, anything like that. I pay them 100%. You don't work for me without pay. It could be anything now, unless you're a moderator. I'm sorry. You guys don't make money because modding for what? What anymore? What is there to mod for anymore? I'm sorry. Like, I love you guys. I love that you guys, some of you guys are still in the Discord, but obviously, as you see, I don't even promote it anymore. I'm still there every now and then, but we don't really promote it. But yeah, that person decided to stop. They came back, they disappeared again, and then I got another person to do it. And that second person, I'm not going to name who they were, but obviously it was someone that maybe all of you were familiar with, and they just kind of ghosted me. And that was really, really surprising. I've just lost a lot of people this year. And it's weird because I'm someone that likes to claim that I do a lot of self-criticism on myself. And I feel like I don't get the opportunity to understand how the other party is feeling. Because those people that have disappeared from my life never gave me a reason why. They just ghosted me. They stopped answering my phone calls, stopped responding to my text messages. There was never that moment, Mike, here's what you're doing that I don't like. And I wish that they would reach out. And regarding that person that I was talking about earlier, that girl that I was talking to, it just didn't end up panning out the way that I would have thought, because once again, outside of my podcasts, I don't really feel like I have a voice, and that might make me sound like a loser. And I am, don't get me wrong. I am a loser, but I am just someone that just has never felt like they've had a voice. Anytime I say that there is something I want to do or somewhere I want to go, it's never really happened. And that was it was a really rude awakening for me this year out of all years, because I realized no matter what, whether it was with that girl that I was talking to or even with any of my friends, it was never what I wanted. And I understand I'm not here to go ahead and sit here and be like, oh, well, they should do everything that I want. No. It's about compromising. By all means. And let me know what your take is. I would love to hear it. But it has just affected me mentally. And it has been such a drainer to the point again where I feel like I don't want to do, for example, these podcasts. This episode I'm recording on a Wednesday, literally a few days before the episode needs to go out. I like to record them. The last episode that I did, episode 19, I recorded 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago. I like to be on top of these. I would have already recorded episode 21 by now and have already been editing it. This should have already been done a while ago. But that's why what I'm going to do when this episode drops, hopefully you all listen to this episode to the end. Because, not because of the burp, excuse me, my apologies. Let me take a sip of soda. That will help get the belching down. That tastes very flat. I don't like that. Don't like that one bit. But this episode has kind of been my gift to you for just coming around and just listening to the podcast, whether for a little bit or for the full episodes, or just listening to specific episodes or all of them or anything. This is my gift to you, where I'm just being 100% raw. And when I say truly raw, I mean, I know I'm rambling, but when I'm truly being open, this is how I go about it. Normally when I have a guest on, I try to have some coherency. Here, I don't really care with these one-on-ones. And I was thinking that maybe for every 10 episodes, I would do one of these where I'm very brutally open and I just kind of reflect on from the last time we talked where it's just me and you. You are the guest. This episode, you are the guest. But I know that this year is coming to a close. And I hope that next year will finally be better. And I'm hopeful for it. Will it go that way? Allow me to be pessimistic and say no. I don't know if pessimistic is the right word. I'm going to stick with that. Hopefully it is. But it will be a year next year, to say the least, because obviously my goal for this year was to get a truck, and I got it. My goal for next year, hopefully, you'll see me in a new location, because my goal is to move out next year. Now, that's where we're, obviously, if you couldn't tell, getting into talking about the future. So to wrap up this podcast, I would like for us all to look forward to something. So I want, as I'm talking about my shit, I want you to let me know. I want you to think about, what do you have to look forward to? And hopefully that's not like a loaded question. Oh God, what do I have to look forward to? Oh God, all this depressing shit. I meant like positive wise, because that's how I want to try to look at this. I want to try to look at all the positive, because even though I've had a whole bunch of negative, I still like to try to be optimistic. So I have a new home to look forward to next year, because right now I make good money and I have a great credit score. Not a flex. But hopefully I can buy a place next year. And hopefully maybe we'll be able to do some more streams next year. Hopefully we'll be able to bring back the streams or some more content. But on top of that, hopefully we'll be able to make this podcast even better. I have bigger and better plans for the podcast, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. For now, though, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break. Now, hold on before you scream and freak out and say, Sodacat, no! Oh my God, he's gone for another year! Oh my God! Oh. Go watch episode 1 if you want to understand what I'm referring to. Oh my God! Oh no, he's gone for a year! Listen, it's December. I want to go ahead and enjoy the last few weeks of December. Not that I don't enjoy doing the podcast, but I don't want to stress about finding a guest and recording an episode and trying to get it out in time. I'm going to take a little time off, which is the remainder of December and maybe a little bit of January. I'll be back early next year, and obviously we'll be doing a shit ton of podcast episodes, and I will always go ahead and cross my fingers and hope to God that this podcast blows up so that I could do, because I would really love to do an episode a week with a new guest, but obviously only time will tell. But going forward, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, I've been seeing that, and I've been thinking that I would like the podcast, instead of it being 2.5 hours, I would like for it to go at most for 1 hour and 45 minutes. At most. We'll still be talking about a lot of different shit, but just in a little bit more compressed, because I don't know, even me listening to it, I'm like, yo, 2 hours and 30 minutes, kind of a lot. I don't even know how I came up with that number, but I'm like, all right, cool, let's crunch it down a little bit. Maybe eventually, because I see a lot of people go down to like 1 hour and 15 minutes, even sometimes 45 or 33 minutes. Let me know. Obviously, guys, I know I always ask everyone to leave a comment, but this would definitely be an episode that I would really appreciate if you guys could leave a comment, because you are the guest. These are the episodes where I really do want to hear back from you, and where I really will, obviously, if you don't have some stupid shit to say. If you leave a comment, I will respond. I want to hear what you have to say. I want feedback. What do you think can make this podcast better? What do you have to say about anything that I said tonight? Whether it's the depressing shit, the truck, the dog. There's so much to talk about. And there is also so little for me to talk about. Oh, God, that soda tastes disgusting. But let me know. What did you get for Christmas? God. Guys, I feel like I have the worst laugh. And I feel like my laugh is just trying to change itself. I'm very subconscious. I'm very, not anxious. What's the word? I'm very insecure. Sure, we'll go with insecure. That was not the word I was looking for, but that's the word that we're going to use because you guessed, are not saying what the word is. But I don't like the way that my laugh sounds. I sound like I'm always like a smoker that inhaled too much. Like I'm like yeah, for all you audio listeners, I was just laughing there, not coughing. Fuck. So I think I'm like subconsciously like just changing the way that my laugh sounds. So hopefully that sounds better for a podcast. But guys, everyone, I know I keep saying guys, everyone, thank you. Thank you all for 1 year of Sodacast. This soda is to you. Hopefully you listen to this episode with the soda. Hopefully you listen to all episodes in the future with the soda. But with that being said, guys, you already know how these podcasts end. So please, if you're an audio listener, just tolerate this. I want you to just imagine long, lanky white guy with nice hair, amazing looking face, and an ugly Christmas sweater that's too oversized for him. I want you to go ahead and imagine me just finishing and like chugging the rest of my soda. So, yeah, let me do this. I feel like I'm about to throw up. Cheers, I guess. Oh, that burns. That fucking burns. So, everyone, with that being said, I know I rambled a lot. Please feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode and really every episode in the past, going forward, anything. Feel free to leave a comment, a like, let me know. So if you did truly enjoy, drop a subscribe, drop a 5-star review, like this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. Let me know going forward. Like, do that shit so we can get other cool guests on the podcast going forward, bro. Because it'd be really cool. We upgraded the microphone. We didn't upgrade the camera, but we changed the camera settings to constantly make shit better. We upgrade the lighting, all that good shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, fucking leave a like, subscribe, do all that shit, bro. God damn. Oh, God. Guys, everyone, with that being said, if you want to catch me outside of the podcast, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Sodacat13. If obviously you want to check the podcast out wherever you want, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever else you listen to your Spotify, or you could get it on YouTube if you're an audio listener listening on whatever fucking app. I don't know. With that being said, though, for now, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Christmas and New Year's, and have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, or night. Stay safe. I'll catch you later. Peace.